Hey, fellow Restopians, welcome back to Restopia. Long time no see. Thought I'd just pop out a quick video today, as usual, unedited. Haven't started using the new camera yet, or or delving into editing. Yeah, got two what I call my little embellishments today. I've got the Amiga pen and an Amiga lapel pin. Lapel pin, that's what it's called, not a tie pin. It's a lapel pin. Which you can see there, nice little thing. Yeah, but in my hand, it's not an Amiga yet, it's a Rolex. Deep dive special, so let's delve into deep dive watches. So the Rolex Sea Dweller Deepsea. This is the black version, it's the 12 series. There's an 11 series and a 13 series that come out not too long ago. This is the 12 series. I think this is the best version of the three. Not to go into too much detail, but the 11 series, which I tried on years ago, it was so long ago that it was available in the shops. You could literally walk into a dealer and purchase it. They also had a Rolex Hulk. It's either Hulk or a Smoke. Would have a Hulk, wouldn't it? Anyway, it was a green Rolex, which you could have purchased. They were both shop window watches at that time. I, at that time, had a vintage Sea Dweller, which I actually still have, probably seen it on the channel. But I felt the previous version of this was just too big, and I like big watches. But there's just something about it that I didn't like, and it was expensive as well, and I would have had to have justified it to the wife. You know, I'd have had to have sold the vintage one, or it wasn't vintage then, but you know, the current Sea Dweller, which I kind of didn't want to do. I didn't want to swap between the two, basically, because there was a massive difference in size. I just felt it was too big. It came to pass that that's the general feeling of it. It just wasn't quite right. There was something odd with the sizing. So nothing happened with that. I think finances really were the bigger reason why nothing happened, but I didn't like it anyway. And I've got this 12 series, so this came out at a later point. 12 series, so the difference is being it's basically it's just not, the shoulders aren't as big. It's got a bigger lug width, which I think just looks, it's a bigger bracelet basically, which I think just works better with the size of the watch. Recently they brought out a 13 series. Two of the differences are it doesn't have, this one has a dive extension. I'm not going to take it out, but it does have a dive extension there. The newer version doesn't. Rolex have actually left a sticker on here. This would be worth a fortune. They've left a sticker on there, which I don't normally do. I won't take that off. So this has a dive extension. The 13 series doesn't have a dive extension, which I think is a shame. I think in reality, is anyone going to really use the dive extension? You know, no one's really going to use the helium escape valve or the 3,900 meters of waterproofness in the case of a Rolex, waterproofness. But I think if it's a dive watch, it kind of needs it there. That's how I feel. Anyway, so I think it's a shame that the newer version doesn't have that. There's three main differences. The only other one I can remember is it's got an 8% bigger date window, so no Cyclops. An 8% bigger date window would be good, but I mean, only if they're next to each other. I think it'd be difficult to tell which one's which if they were in isolation. It's a nice improvement, but not necessarily needed. Yeah, so of all three, although I'd rather the bigger date window, of all three, I think the 12 series is the best, which this one is. It's a lovely watch, 44mm in. I've got the verniers there, but this is a second take of this video, so I don't need to measure it again. Saves a bit of time. It's 44mm case width, 21mm lug width, which narrows to approximately 19. So a 2mm drop. So I think that's a nice taper. I mean, it looks more than that, to be honest, but that's the rough dimensions of it. If you really want to know the exact dimensions, I'm sure you'll be able to find them somewhere. But that's the Rolex Deepsea Sea Dweller. And all the Amiga stuff here is because I also have into the channel the Amiga Planet Ocean 6,000 meter Ultradeep. I just show you some wrist shots of this beast. My wrist is 7.25-ish, near a 7.5-inch wrist. I think this is the maximum size that I could possibly wear. There is a Rolex Deepsea Challenge that is technically purchasable in a shop, which is 50mm. So these have got a mil between them. So imagine jumping up 5mm from this. I mean, it really would be big. The other thing that would happen is, which is sort of happening with this Amiga, is that you're getting that kind of, that weird look where it's a small dial compared to the case width. I'm guessing that's because it's a bigger case to get that waterproofness and the size of the crystal, etc. So this is starting to look a bit odd. If you compare them, I'll just do that a bit more of a wrist shot, because I know people don't like it when I do, you know, do a quick wrist shot and then the demons get me and I go all crazy with the hands. But yeah, this is the upper edge of a watch that I could wear personally. And I know a lot of people have bailed out way before this size, but I do really like this. I love the fact it doesn't have a date. I love the colors. I really like my Planet Ocean, my 600-meter Planet Ocean. So there are things about this that obviously go on from that. It's one of only probably 3 Amigas that I like enough that I would actually purchase one. I like the brand, but yeah, the pieces there just aren't too many that would be right for me. Now, the interesting thing with this is that is a much bigger taper. So it's actually 22mm at the lugs, although that first link, they're both male end links. Now, the previous, or not the previous, but the 600-meter Planet Ocean is a female end link. But both of these are male end links, which kind of fit the size of the watch, I'd say personally. But this narrows from 22mm. It starts narrowing immediately. I mean, if you measure that end link, it actually comes up at less than 22, even though the actual lug widths are 22 from what I can measure. And it goes down to 18. So a much, much bigger taper. I think too much of a taper. I mean, I would say, let's just pop the Deepsea on just for a quick comparison. I would say that both of these watches, I mean, when you think that the 600-meter Planet Ocean has 22mm lug widths, I haven't got it here, lug widths, yeah, 2 lugs, that's plural, isn't it? 22mm lug widths. So both of these watches actually have a narrower, well, that is 22 as well, but it's a bigger case. But in terms of, you know, for the size of the case, the bracelet sort of isn't as beefy. And personally, I think, you know, especially in the case of the Planet Ocean, the Ultradeep, I just think it just tapers off too much. You know, I would think that would be better if it maybe had 23mm lug width, and tapered to 20. So it'd be 2mm bigger than that, and I think that would be a much better look. Maybe that's what's going to happen if they do another version of this. I know they got the special edition summer blue version, but they're exactly the same size. Interestingly, that's summer blue, so this has either white gold or platinum, you know, so precious metal basically in the watch. The summer blue one doesn't, and it's how much is that? I think this is 11,700 retail. The summer blue is 11,900, so it's £200 more, but doesn't have any precious metal. So, but if you like the colour of the summer blue one, then great. If you can get hold of one, these are generally available now at a discount, as all shop window watches / Amigas should be. Is my opinion. As long as you don't go to a boutique, you know, you've got to go to an authorized dealer that's not actually sort of just an Amiga, you know, a flagship Amiga boutique. But yeah, so I think this is, you know, a better. I don't like the summer blue version personally. It's got less colours going on. There's more colours here: silver, dark blue, black, light blue. Whereas the summer blue basically is black and light blue. But Yeah, so the Summer Blue has come out, but it's just basically a different dial, bezel variant of this. There's no different size. There may be a new version of this one day, and I think one thing they will do potentially is make those lug widths bigger, and maybe beef up the clasp in terms of width. Now, the other reason, of course, both of these watches may not have proportionately sized lug widths and tapers and clasps, is maybe just that the fact that they're so chunky at the head, the case, is that maybe they want to dissolve some of that, dissipate some of that weight by narrowing the bracelet and clasp. I'm not sure. I can't see that's really a thing. Oh, side on view. I've always thought the Planet Ocean bracelets were particularly good. I know Rolex bracelets are, class leading, but the Planet Ocean, that just the chunkiness of those links. I mean, look at those in comparison. That's I think why I like my Planet Ocean 600 meters so much. The dimensions I think just work amazingly, and the price point. When I got mine, I think I got it for just under 5,000. I think they're 6.5 retail now. So yeah, the value in there, more so when I got mine. Although as I say, shop window Amiga, you'll get a discount on it. Currently, at least. So yeah, I think that's why I really like my Planet Ocean 600 meters. So yeah, so differences between these two, we've covered size, no date on the Amiga, no helium escape valve on the Amiga. Apparently the technology inside means it doesn't need it, even if you did need it, if you were doing some saturation deep diving. I think really helium escape valves are more about the watches in the same way that the depths these can go to. It's about the watchmaker's art. It's not about you or I needing it to do that thing. There's so many things: chronographs, annual dates, perpetual date. I think an annual date would be quite cool. Perpetual dates. I mean, who needs to not reset their date between services? I mean, I just can't see why you would need that. It's just the watchmaker's art. It's just cool that it can do it. It doesn't mean that you need it to do it. But yeah, I do like a no date because of the symmetry, particularly on the, that is one of my bugbears with the 600 meter. Shame I haven't got that handy, actually. I should have had that, but I'm not re-recording this. So we'll have to imagine what it looks like. Yeah, I think having numbers, or also known as Arabic numerals, at 3, 6, 9 and 12. I think when you've only got 3 of them, to miss the 3 out, I think is a crime. I'm not a fan of date windows spoiling the symmetry, even on a watch that has, literally just indices, round, rectangular indices, triangular. I think I'd rather not have the date on. I don't know. I do like a Rolex without a Cyclops. Without a cyclopsed date. I think what I like about this Sea Dweller and my older Sea Dweller is that neither of them have cyclops. So I quite like to see a Rolex date window without a horrible cyclops on top of it. Being that most Rolexes have cyclops, I think that is something that particularly makes me want a non-date Rolex. But yeah, ironically, as much as I've only really just thought of this as I'm recording the video, but ironically, the one place I do like to see a date window is on a non-cyclops Rolex. So no date on the Ultradeep, no helium escape valve. Now, I quite like the helium escape valve on the 600 meter Planet Ocean. I don't really like manual helium escape valves on Amigas on the Seamaster 300, but that's partly because of the shape of it. They're cupcake shaped, whereas on the Planet Ocean it's a square. It's a nice chunky square parallel helium escape valve. People say oh, you know, I don't notice it's there. I don't think that's true. I mean, you're always going to notice it there. It's there, but I think it's just one of those things you can learn to live with. I don't think I could ever get used to a cupcake shaped helium escape valve. I think I would find that annoying. I do actually quite like the parallel one on my Planet Ocean 600 meters. I think it's nice that it's not been included on the 6,000 meter Ultradeep, and it kind of potentially shows what I think the 600 meter Planet Ocean is due for an update, and it kind of sort of I would like it to look more like this. So some different colorways, get rid of the date window, and potentially get rid of the helium escape valve. Although I'm not sure on that one. I wouldn't mind. I think it's 50-50 for me. If a new Planet Ocean 600 meters has a helium escape valve or doesn't have a helium escape valve, I think it wouldn't make any difference to me. But I would like it not to have a date, particularly because it's got that number there. I think it just looks silly without the number there. The other thing I'd like for a new Planet Ocean 600 meters is, so this comes in various colors. There's an orange and brown, but I quite like the white dial with a bright blue, electric blue bezel. They currently do the 600 meter Planet Ocean with a white dial and an orange bezel, but that's not really my thing. But this Ultradeep is available with a white dial and a bright blue, electric blue bezel. I think if it were me, I'd go for this one because, you know, that's a lot. £11,700 before discount is a lot of money to have such a distinct colour. And I think you'd kind of go for the more generic colour, but you know, maybe not. But on the Planet Ocean, which is significantly cheaper, I think it would be quite nice. That I would quite like a white dial with a electric blue bezel on the smaller watch, which I think dimensionally works better anyway. But this is a lovely piece. So I think I've really covered. So both closed case backs. It's a titanium case back on the Deepsea. Can't remember why that is. It might be a weight thing. Can't remember. There is a reason that's titanium. So I mean, I suppose which do I prefer? I mean, I really like both of them, and I think the thing with Rolex and Amiga, they're just different watches. I mean, I don't think you can say, oh, the Rolex is better than the Amiga, or the Amiga's better than the Rolex. You know, they're just both lovely things if you like the individual model, and I like both of these. They're currently the Amiga is more expensive, but I think in reality you're not getting a discount off of the Rolex, which I think is about 10,000 ish now. I know it was 10,000. It's about. I mean, there's not too much difference in the prices anyway, but this is more expensive at 11,700. But you would get a discount off of this, so I think in reality we can look at these as both being the same price. So which would I prefer? I mean, I'm not going to. I couldn't pick. I love them both. I can tell you the differences in terms of my personal opinion, though. I think that 6,000 meters. So it's 50% more than the Rolex. So it kind of has that kind of kudos in there. You've got some color in the Amiga, which is really nice. The no date window, as I've mentioned. I mean, they're completely different looks. I kind of this is the thing I like about the Planet Ocean is that it's a very nice looking quality dive watch, big chunky quality dive watch, and I'm talking about this one and the 600 meter now. They're very nice looking quality dive watches without being overly fussy looking. I think that this almost looks more like it's been made by Rolex, designed by Rolex, than their other watches. I think this one and the 600 meter, they look more Rolex designed than Amiga designed. To me, that's one of the reasons that they're one of the two of the only free watches that I actually really like enough that I would purchase with my own money in the Amiga range. So they kind of, to me, they both look really nice. I think the only thing I can really say, I think they're both nice. They both have their own pros and cons. But I think the one thing I will say that's kind of relevant is that I much prefer the feel of operating and wearing the Rolex. It just, some of that, I know you're going to say it's because of its slightly smaller size. Yeah, it just, I like the wider clasp. I probably need to open that extension a bit for me because it is a bit tight on there. But yeah, it just wears better. But as I've said, you know, neither of these you'd want to wear every day. So eventually they'd both become too annoyingly heavy to wear, I would say, on my size wrist. But I just think, I mean, it's just something about Rolexes, aren't there, that just feel great, and that is very apparent to me in having worn these for a couple of days over the last short period of time. Quality wise, actually, which I haven't touched on, that bezel action is stunning. The bezel action on the, how can I miss out a bezel action on a dive watch review? I mean, in comparison, that's, I don't know, it's rough. I mean, it's mechanical, let's say. All right, let's not say rough. It's mechanical. I mean, you know, there's no backplay in either of them. But that is, I should have come up with an analogy for that. That is just heaven. Now, some people might prefer the more I don't know, how can I put it? Rugged, you know, rugged dive, manly dive, kind of feel to the bezel action. And in a way, I do too, because in a way, it's quite nice that they are different. But yeah, they are significantly different. And I think if you had to pick a better one, it would easily be the Rolex. The other thing, I'm not going to play around with the movements now on camera, but the trip lock, the way when you set the Rolex, it feels fantastic. The Amiga, I found not so much. I found everything quite rough. Rough's not really a great word. It was just, there was something just not very smooth about it. When you undo the crown, pull it out, and you're moving stuff, winding it, you know, everything that you need to do to reset the time. I mean, it's not the right time, so I can do it now. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, when it popped out, it was quite a wussy sort of a pop. Getting the crown out, I've got gloves on, haven't I? Getting the crown out. It's the other thing I did mention, just like the 600 meters, it's it hasn't got a date, so it doesn't need a quick set date, so it may as well have a quick set hour hand, which is quite handy, so it's not stopping the movement, which is great, if you can go forwards or backwards, if you're going abroad, different time zone, that's quite handy. Let's pop that in, give it a wind. It's just, it's nothing wrong with it. It's not, I won't do that with gloves on. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just very, very different to the Rolex. The bezel action, the movement action, the crown, everything is very different. But, they're both high quality. I think it's nice to have differences in watches. It would be nice to have both rather than to choose between the two. I think ultimately, if you're choosing between the two, it's going to be on looks, size. It's not going to be about money because they're both the same. I'm not going to mention availability because I don't think that really, comes into it in terms of which watch is nicer. But they are both absolutely lovely, and they're both realistically the two deepest dive watches. I'm sure someone might see this and comment in the comments about Zin or something that apparently go deeper. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, these are the two deepest dive watches apart from the Rolex Deepsea Challenge, which I'm a bit of a Rolex fan, but you know, I think the Deepsea Challenge is just not, it's not really worth considering. I think it's just a flex. In many ways, I think the Amiga Ultradeep is going that way. It has that look about it that's a bit, it's getting a bit sort of bulbous. Yeah, but I still would say it's very wearable. Let's have a quick look at the, before you go, because I'm not going anywhere. Let's have a quick look at the depths. So that's coming up at 17.5. I think this is, I was going to say this is 18. Yeah, 18.2. So I don't know, millimeter in it. But I think looking at them, the Amiga looks more than a millimeter bigger. Although the Rolex is more slab-sided, as people like to say. No chamfering really to speak of. It's probably there's no chamfering. There is a slight angle on the lugs. But yeah, hopefully that's been useful. Another one of my rambles, 25 minutes. Boom. Hope if anyone's made it to the end of that, well done. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed seeing these two watches side by side. They're both fantastic. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. Try not to moan too much, but if you want to have a moan, that's good too. Well, I'm off now. One wrist, live it.